Hello friends, Susan here. I am coming to you with part 2 of my annual catalog premiere. And today I am going to make a quick Father's Day card because I realized all of a sudden Father's Day is this weekend. I'm having trouble keeping track of my days with all this staying at home stuff. The days just kind of roll together. But I want to show you some of the beautiful images that are a part of this suite. First, I'm going to show you the designer paper. This is the World of Good Specialty DSP. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4 of them have this beautiful brass foiling, which is so gorgeous. The detail in these papers is phenomenal. If you look very closely at this, it looks like some nice sponging, but that's actually North and South America. When you look at these up close in a bigger swatch, you can tell quite clearly they are the Constellations. Let's see, on the map one, this is really cool. Both of these maps here, you can actually find your home. I found St. Louis, Missouri on the map. That is how detailed it is. It says St. Louis. And that's as close as we're going to get to O'Fallon because, well, they're not going to have us on the map. They don't have us on the globe. But I think that is really, really cool. These are all the colors that are included in with this DSP. Basic black, brass, bumblebee, cinnamon cider, crumb cake, early espresso, misty moonlight, mossy meadow, and whisper white. There is a dot there. I know it's hard to see, but there is really a dot there. I promise you. Okay. So that is the gorgeous paper, and this is a card that I did using that beautiful paper. And on this card I used the tall stand, and I used Europe on my globe here. And interestingly enough, I don't think I did this on purpose, but this is Europe over here too. I just noticed that a little while ago. That wasn't on purpose, but that is the way it is. So I did that, and I also used the neat new embossing folder to make this little tiny strip. This is what the embossing folder looks like, and these are a couple pieces that I ran through. This is gold foil, and this one is cinnamon cider, and it looks actually, I think, kind of like leather. I think you could very easily do a little sponging and distressing, and I don't think you could tell the difference between that and leather on first glance. Speaking of leather, this gorgeous ribbon that is part of this suite is faux suede, and it actually feels like I'm holding a strip of suede leather. Really, really neat ribbon. I did not utilize it on either of these cards. I was going for a simpler version, but I'm going to show you these slides that come with it. So they've got two sides. They've got little stripes, and then they've got a filigree, and I don't know how well you can see that. I'm going to see if that helps. I'm hoping you can see the detail there. Okay, and then the same thing with this buckle. It goes both ways. But look how cute this is. Look at that. It slides right through there. I don't know, does anybody else think Santa Claus already? I kind of do. So really, really cute little elements. Not terribly heavy. They glue on easily, and I think that's always critical when you're working with elements like that. This is the stamp set that goes with it. All of these sentiments, and the text is so gorgeous. I especially love when they mix a beautiful font with a print. I think that is just so elegant, and I feel like it makes it so that you could use it for either a man or a woman. I think it really works both ways. But these are all of the pieces in the stamp set. It is red rubber like this, and it's cling, so it sticks to your blocks really nice. And then it also comes with these dies, and we're going to use some of them today, or I've actually got them out to show you. But this is a really neat grate, like a table grate that it's standing on. It looks really cool. This is embosses. It doesn't cut, and it's really hard holding it like this to see which way's up. It looks like a foreign language, but when you emboss it and take a closer look, what it is, it's like a captain's log, and it has longitudes and latitudes and a very, very old world printy script. It's really neat when you look at it up close. All right. this is the card we're going to make today. You make the world a better place. Thank you for being part of mine. So I have pre-done a few things. I have already stamped and cut out my quill and my inkwell, my stand, and the base of my globe. And this one, the black piece, what I did was I put a piece of our adhesive strips on there and then ran it through. And you gotta run it through probably like 3 times or so to make sure it cuts all the way through that. And now that I have done that, I'm just going to use my Big Shot brush. And this is no longer in the catalog, but we do have a nice replacement, and it is a little brush that fits on the end of the Take Your Pick tool. So where this comes off, you put the brush on that end to do what I'm doing here. Okay, it all came out really nice. Look at that. So the reason I did this is because I'm kind of practiced at gluing little pieces, but most of my customers would absolutely roll their eyes and throw their hands up and say, oh my gosh, it's too little to glue. And I have to agree with them. It's hard. So rather than trying to get little dots of glue on there and not let them squish out, I have now made it. I'm going to hope this works here. I should have made it a sticker, assuming I can get that to start to peel off. Oh, there it is. All right, so can you see it's all shiny? It's a sticker. So now, I do have to be right on the money with this. There we go. Now it's all stuck beautifully, and I didn't have to worry about glue oozing out onto my pretty, pretty foil paper. All right, so I am gonna do one little bit of Big Shot work in front of you though, because I really wanted you to see how I did it, how it worked. So what I'm going to do is I'm taking my crumb cake ink and I am smushing it into the front side of the embossing folder, the side that says Stampin' Up. Just giving it a good solid coverage everywhere. And no, you wouldn't have to be everywhere if you knew exactly where you were going to put your cardstock. You could certainly do that. But see, now I'm going to put my cardstock here and I'm going to close the lid like this. Not straight, but I don't think it really matters. Not in this design. And I'm going to bring up my Big Shot, and I'm going to apologize ahead of time, but the table and the camera and everything is going to shake. So this is the regular base plate, and I'm going to put that in there, hinge first, and this is the blue plate that Stampin' Up! Came to make up for the difference in width when they created their the new 3D embossing folders that aren't quite as thick as the old ones. All right, I just want to make double sure that it went through good. So normally I wouldn't go through twice, but I think I'm going to, just because I want to be sure. All right, so are we ready for the magic unveiling? Get this out of the way. So this is what we get. Isn't that lovely? Now, that is just the beginning of our distressing that we're going to do here. I'm going to pull up a chair and try not to shake anymore. And I'm going to dip my sponge into the crumb cake ink pad. Now, I always kind of tap off. I need a little piece of scrap over here, just so that I know that it's not overly inky. I can always go back and add more once I get a feel for how much ink is on there. So not much is coming off at all. So I'm going to have to give it some serious ink, some pushing. And what we're doing here is we're creating an old parchment-like image for our paper. I stamped the sentiment first. I did try it the other way, and the little crags and crevices are just a little too deep on this for that to work well. Okay. All right, so I've kind of done this. Now I'm going to use soft suede. That was crumb cake. So now I'm going to use soft suede. And I'm going to get my edges, and then I'm going to kind of bleed in. Okay, soft suede has more ink. I'm going to stick this underneath me so we don't make a big mess of the work surface, because I know it's pretty distracting to sit there and watch all the stamp off images. Okay, so see, this is working pretty good. I'm just going in a circle. I'm not pressing too hard, but once I get the ink coming off, then I go back and continue with a little bit more pressure. Okay, I'm going to bring just a little bit of it in. I want some of that crumb cake to show through. Okay, and then I just want to make sure my edge is a little bit darker. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. I did not do this in my original, but I think I'm going to like the way that looks. Got to be careful that I'm not getting outside the camera frame on you here, so you can see what I'm doing. All right. So that is my now distressed front for my cardstock, and I'm just going to take some liquid Tombow and go around the edge. Normally I would just do the edge, but because I have all that embossing, I'm gonna put a little bit in the center. All right, so I cut the black piece as 5 1/4 by 4, and this very vanilla piece was just 1/8 of an inch smaller than that. So that's just 2 little marks on your paper trimmer. Okay, so that's gonna go on the front of my card. And I went ahead and cut and scored my card base. This is soft suede. And when you do the score, one side has a dent, we call that the valley, and the other side has a bump, and we call that the mountain. So I'm gonna fold into the mountain, and I'm gonna get my bone folder out here, and just burnish that score line. Now you see, I am doing this so that it hits right about here. I'm not letting that point drag, because if that drags on the cardstock, it leaves a shiny line that's just not terribly attractive. Just not. Okay, it looks like I glued this flat. Sometimes I pop it up, but I think looking at it, I decided it's got enough dimension, enough stuff going on. All right, so right side up would be good. If you ever glued a card together and been all done and then turned it over and realized it's upside down, I have actually done that. In fact, most stampers I know have done that at one point or another. It's frustrating, but we get over it. All right. So now I'm going to go ahead and put my globe on here. And to do that, I could have used my mini dimensionals, but they don't seem to be handy. So I'm going to use that. And since my minis aren't handy right here, I have tons of them. I'm going to grab them very quickly. I have an overabundance of mini dimensionals. It seems quite silly not to use them when I have more of those than anything else. I just placed an order to get some more regular size dimensionals because, well, I've actually I think I might even have to trim off the mini a little bit. So I'm going to take this one, cut it in half. I didn't really intend to put 3 on there, but it won't hurt anything. All right, so cutting one mini in half is perfect there. And then I'm just going to use scrap for this, I think. It's always nice to use up your scrap. Don't ever throw any of those away. Every single inch of it can be used. All right, so I'm going to figure out where I want this to sit before I start sticking things down. Okay, so I think I'm going to put my globe here. And my stand looks like I've scratched a little bit. That's not good. All right. So let me peel these off. Now, if you ever noticed, when you look at a globe in a stand, it's not straight up. It's always sitting at a bit of an angle. So remember that angle here a little bit. Let me see if that's how I want it. That's maybe a little bit more of an angle than I wanted. Let's do it about like that. And then we can put this underneath it. Okay. And then we're just gonna slide that right up underneath to be my beautiful stand. Now, the inside of my card, I'm gonna stamp my sentiment with Memento Black. So I'm going to ink this up really nice because I want a nice solid image. And I do use my grid paper when I stamp. It just helps keep me focused. It helps me make sure that I've got my sentiments straight. When I put my sentiments on my block, that's how I position them using my grid paper. Now I want to write Happy Father's Day under it, so I'm going to go up a little high and stamp that. And then before I make a mess, I'm going to close that up. Okay, now, just because I'm getting ready to sponge all over it, I'm going to fan that a little bit. Now, I'm going to do the same sort of a distressing thing that I did to the front. It's just that we're not using the embossing folder. But I need to be very light with my touch. So I'm going to bring this in again. And just very light, because if you do it hard, you're actually going to get marks and lines, and you're going to see where you actually have a sponge. What we want, our goal here, is to make it look just like an old piece of parchment. We don't want it to look like we sponged ink onto very vanilla cardstock, although that's what we did. But your recipient isn't going to realize that. They're going to be like, this is so cool. Where did you get that awesome paper? And then you're going to grin and say, I made it. It's quite a nice effect. Okay, and the reason I'm combining crumb cake and soft suede and not just going straight to the soft suede is because this kind of helps keep me from getting too heavy with the soft suede. And the soft suede should just be kind of an accent. If I push too hard on this, I can actually see the swirl of a sponge, and I don't want to do that. All right, I'm going to put that aside, and I'm going to get the soft suede. Now I recall that this was much darker, so I'm going to just start by doing my edge, and I'm going to just blend my way in a little bit. Whoops, come back. Now if you don't have this beautiful new catalog yet, and you don't have a demonstrator of your own, I would be more than happy to send you one. Simply leave me a note in the comments or send me a message, and I will get right back to you, and we'll make sure that you do get a catalog. They are gorgeous. They are more than just a product book. They're filled with some terrific ideas. Okay, now you're going to see me darken it. Can you see the difference that takes? And it also helps that since the paper already has received some ink from my crumb cake, this goes on really smooth. Okay, I'm going to very lightly go over that, just really light. All right, I think that's good. So I'm going to stop there, and then I'm just going to put my quill. I'm going to use glue dots. I'm going to glue dots are really nice when you want it to pop up just with a tiny bit of definition, but not really like sticking up like a dimensional would do. And we want to just give it just a little, just like that. Now, normally I don't do lots of layers on the inside, but lately I've been trying to focus a little more on making the inside have just as much interest as the outside of my card. So I am going to go ahead and add a black mat underneath this. If you are doing this and you are concerned about adding too much weight to your card, too much bulk, you could cut out the center of this in a rectangle and just leave a border. And that way it would look the same on this side, but underneath it'd be hollow. It works. I always do that if I'm doing foil. I don't know, foil is more precious, I guess, than regular cardstock. I tend not to worry too much about wasting cardstock per se, because our cardstock is so affordable that I just never feel like, oh, it's something I have to make sure that I don't use it all up or I'm going to run out. All right, so now I'm going to do this and stick down on the inside. You notice I did kind of stick to the outer edges. You don't really need that much glue. Liquid Tombow is always my glue of choice because it goes so far a dabble do you kind of thing, and because I have the flexibility. If this wasn't straight, I could move it around and wiggle it to get it where it's supposed to be. So what do you think? Nice Father's Day card, huh? This could also be a terrific Father's Day card. I think either one of those would be wonderful to send. Absolutely wonderful. Okay, I'm gonna close for now, and I will be back again later with some more images from the brand new catalog. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, share it with your friends, leave me a comment so I know you were here. If you want to join my Facebook group here, Sending Smiles Across the Miles with Susan Byington, I will be posting lives and a lot more ideas and still life images there. And you can shop here 24/7, smilesacrossthemiles.stampinup.net. I will have a host code posted in the description under this. And if you use that host code and place an order by Sunday, June 21st, I think is Sunday, I will send you an extra thank you gift. So for now, bye, and I'll see you soon.